What is up, ninjas? My name is Sam World, and in today's video we're going to be doing a remake of a sound that I've been heavily requested about. That new rave sound David Guetta, Morten are doing, and we're going to target the Kill Me Slowly one, which is the one I got more questions about. And then of course there's other ones like Atmosphere, which is an idea or whatever. We might do that in the future, but for now we're going to target this one. Now, the reason I want to put this in the complete guide to master Serum, guys, is there's a couple of things I want to talk about in the recreation of this lead. One, keep it simple. Two, running span and additive EQing to get the sound to sound good out of the box so that when people utilize my presets, they're like, holy shit, this is awesome. I'm going to support send more, etc. Or for yourself, it's just making the sounds sound good out of Serum. Okay, with that being said, the sound itself is a saw, guys, and I did watch a couple of remakes and tutorials on YouTube of the sound, and I just didn't agree with them. They overcomplicated it. Keep it simple. You know, a lot of the greatest sounds will come from simplicity. Usually when you complicate stuff, you start to kill the sound and you lose a lot of power. All right, so this is the sound, and that's basically it. We're just going to do a couple of fine tunings, as you're going to see, and you're probably going like, Sam, you're talking out of your ass. No, I'm not. Now, first off, I'm going to decide to leave this unison at 1 because 1, when I hear the sound, it's fully mono. It's not detuned at all. It doesn't have this vibe at all. It's straight up just a very driven sound down the center. So that's the first thing I notice, and that's the first thing for you guys to keep in mind when you're creating sounds, whether you want that to be wide or you want it down the center. From there, we're going to lower down the sustain and lower the decay to get that nice. Now, one cool thing that Morten and David Guetta do in the track is that there's a sense of like sustain being added to the sound the more it goes to the drop, but all that's being automated is the release. So that's a really cool technique to have. If you're not in mono legato, the notes will overlap and create that nice little analog-y sound, which a lot of you guys characterize with that. They're like, that's an analog sound. But again, you can do it again in a digital world as well. Okay, so once we have the time to add a bit of OTT, and it's good to recognize when a sound sounds superly processed, superly compressed, and this is one of those sounds. Another sound I really like is the Roma sound from Will Sparks. When I first heard that sound, I was like, that's a saw, just OTT to hell. Anyways, we're just gonna leave it like so. The sound with this guy, the reverb plays a huge role. As you can see, it adds a lot to it. It gives it a nice, very anthemic feel. I'm going to add a bit of harmony, or sorry, I'm going to saturate this by utilizing a soft clip and pushing it. I usually go for soft clip or hard clips whenever I just want to saturate the sound. Now we also have a tape sound. And you can use whichever one you like, and at the end of the day, it's just preference. But I'm just doing a bit of saturating with these guys. These guys don't really push the sound that hard, so you can kind of consider them saturators in a way. And again, you can use this on any sound where you don't want to distort it, but you do want to bring in some nice harmonic content or value into it. Okay, from there, we're going to EQ. Now, whenever I work on presets back then, I didn't used to think much of the EQ. I thought it was a waste of time. I would just remove stuff. But what I started realizing is if you want to get sounds that sound really good out of Serum, that sound full, then it's good to run span and EQ. Now, for instance, if I play this right now, you can kind of see the response of the sound. Now, as a sound designer, I know that if I want to add body to the lead, then I would target this section here. If I want to add more brightness, I would target this section here. And if I want to add more thump, then I would target the mid-lows. Now, you want to be careful with adding thump because if you're playing at a higher octave, like C3 range in Ableton, not in FL, FL is probably like C5 or something, you do get this nasty kind of fundamental note that you can sometimes lower down because it just causes more issues. And yeah, just make sure you don't overdo it because then the sound will sound a little thin. But from here, I'm going to put an EQ. I'm going to put it in front of the compressor, and then I'm going to add an additive boost. Now, usually when you want to boost stuff, you want to do more gradual, or sorry, broader. You know, Papi likes it thick. You don't want to go with a pencil, just because it doesn't sound organic. It doesn't sound musical at all. So this is what's going to give you that nice little vibe. So as we do that, you're going to see what happens. The sound's just going to completely change, and you're going to get essentially an orgasm. You can see the difference. If I get rid of the it also sounds good, but again, it's just bringing in a little bit more light. Again, I'm moving this stuff and I'm looking at span just to get the right response. Now from here, if I want to add a filter, I can. Now, I don't think they utilize the filter in this sound, but you could do it and get a similar vibe. You can kind of tell why it wasn't a filter though, because you can hear the filter just working. But that's how you recreate the sound. So what I hope you get out of this tutorial is one, additive EQ. But again, do it smartly with a span. You can also reduce and whatnot. Now here, if I wanted to take this a little step further, I can utilize a filter now and utilize a high pass instead to cut out the lows I don't want. And then I can use this guy to boost. All right, so I'll leave you guys at that. The OTT, again, plays a huge role. And a lot of the times, some of the sounds you hear in dance music, you need the OTT to get it to sound that way. It's sort of become more of a staple instead of mixing. It's more sound design based, but it really sucks the crap out of that saw to get it to buy you like a nice little Morten sound and whatnot. But I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you understand the concept of this. Again, you can definitely do what other people did if you want to make it stereo and whatnot. But you know, you lose the vibe completely, which is again that driven sound down the center, add a bit of release to get that nice effect, and you're ready to go.